Welcome to 2026 and the Best Is Yet to Come podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rich Machesky, and I am honored to be here today with Mr. Matt Jansen, who serves as the Director of Athletics for the Troy School District. And Matt, you have other obligations beyond just athletics, but today we want to talk specifically about your role in athletics and how that impacts what happens here in the Troy School District. You are a man of many hats, but today we're gonna stick to athletics. I've known you. I've had the pleasure of knowing you, Matt, now since I've been in the school district. When I came in as assistant superintendent, you were a teacher, fifth grade teacher at WAS, and you and I have gotten to know each other really well. And I've also come to know your background in terms of having been an athlete, a coach, and now a teacher, a principal, and now as athletic director. And I, too, have had some similar experiences, having been a teacher and a coach and an athletic director and a leader within the school district. I'm curious how your experiences, Matt, have shaped you as a leader, and how then those experiences then allow you to approach your job as you're dealing with other coaches across the school district, athletes across our school district, and so forth.
Well, Rich, thanks for joining me today, and it's been great to know each other over time with all the different transitions and roles that we play in the Troy School District. So I will say I take a look back at my own athletic experiences, whether it's playing basketball at Clawson High School, and I was a four-sport athlete, and I recommend that for everybody, and then taking a look at playing basketball at Saginaw Valley State and having leadership opportunities, being a captain in junior and senior year, and then I got into teaching, but also was a coach for 11 years. And you look back at all those things, and I will say that all of the leadership opportunities I've had, I go back to the best training ever was being coached by a coach, being raised by my parents, but also being a varsity coach. When I was the principal of WAS Elementary, I ran that school like a varsity program. And you learn how to hire good teammates, support, encourage, motivate. And it's really all of those skills that come from sports that we learn along the way of work ethic. I can still go back to coaches and my dad saying, line up, look at the person next to you and beat that person, and then competitively beat the next. But at the same time, doing it humbly. And then when there's nobody else to beat, you're looking at your own personal best. And that phrase, personal best, has always driven me in what I do. But I think it's all about how can you encourage and support good teammates and be a great teammate yourself.
Yeah, there's just so many life lessons to be taken from athletics, whether you're a varsity athlete and you're performing at the very highest levels, or if you're someone who sits at the end of the bench, yep, just supporting your teammates. I had a humbling experience back when I was in high school as a senior. I had been a starter on the baseball team as a sophomore and a junior, and I didn't do the work necessary into my senior year to be better, to be a starter, and I ended up the majority of the year on the end of the bench. And I had to learn. That was a bit of humility on my part, having to learn. I've got to shift from now being a star athlete, although I wasn't much of a star, but to being someone who sits at the end of the bench and encourages others around me to be better. And today that's one of the biggest life lessons I took from athletics. And it wasn't because we won a championship. It wasn't because I was a captain or a star of the team. It was because I had to learn a role as someone who was now going to support those around me. So again, so many life lessons that we can learn from athletics. And we're very fortunate in the Troy School District to have opportunities for athletes, both men and women. And we're going to talk about what some of those look like. But let's start just basically. How many students would you say, or would you share, participate in athletics across the Troy School District?
So our percentages, and I agree with all your life lessons and things like that, and it's funny how that they shape us and we don't even realize it, and we look back in life and they help us to deal with things in the future. But we have 40% of our high school student athletes participate in athletics, or 40% of our students are student athletes that participate in athletics. And that's not just Troy High, Troy Athens, that's also TCCHS, our online students. So 40%, and that's 1,700 out of 4,300 students. And then at middle school, 48%, we're almost 50% of our students at the middle school level in 7th and 8th grade participate in athletics. And you know, Rich, the goal of the district is to make sure that every student feels like they belong. And I look at sports. What a better, I'm not sure there's a better way for someone to feel like they belong to something. Whether you're putting on a Smith Knights jersey, Troy Colts, Red Hawks jersey, or a Bowling Broncos, you're wearing the name. It is a part of the identity, and you represent something much larger than yourself. But I don't know about you, but the teams that I was on in life, you have teammates. It's an immediate friendship, and they're not just teammates for a season. So many times these are teammates for life that we stay in touch with, and they help us feel like they belong in the district and to people that will help us be successful in life.
Yeah, that's so true. My best friends still today are individuals I played football with, played basketball with back in high school, and there's just memories to be made. And it's not, and we talk about this a lot, it's not about the wins and losses. It's about opportunities for young people to explore, experience, become better, whether it's better physically fit, or whether it's just being a better individual because they were a part of a team. So talking about teams, we're in the winter season. We're well into the winter season here in 2026. What sports are currently running, and can you give us a quick rundown as to how they're doing?
Absolutely. So we have 11 varsity teams that are taking the field, the ice, in the pool, all the different courts and things that we're in. So, you know, when it comes to boys and girls sports right now, both downhill skiing is taking place out of Pine Knob, and our coach Tom Lining's doing a phenomenal job. They just started. In fact, our girls just won their first event at the Heat yesterday. Boys and girls basketball is taking place, and we have an awesome opportunity Friday night this week. Troy High is hosting Athens for the varsity basketball game, but the freshmen, the JV, the varsity are all playing. And you talk about it. There's going to be one winner and one loser, and that's tough because for me, I want them both to win, being in this district. But the reality is how they handle themselves with character, our student sections, everything else, great opportunities, but both teams are really competitive. This game could go either way on Friday night, and both coaches are doing a marvelous job. Bowling for boys and girls is taking place. Co-ed wrestling is taking place right now. Just hired a brand new wrestling coach, Will England, and you know, you do such an amazing job of representing a One Troy attitude, Rich, in this district. You model it. You take a look at these two wrestling coaches, Will England and Robbie Keys. They run their practices together at times because they're about building the program of wrestling in the community and the sport, not just about their own individual team or wrestler's success. And they just do an amazing job of collaboration. Other girls sports, just for girls, we have competitive cheer. Both teams are doing well, and they're really kicking off their competition series right now. And then gymnastics. They've just moved to a new location here in Troy at Monarch Sports Academy. It's local. Our numbers are up, and our coaches have done a great job finding a local place for our girls to be in a co-op with Berkeley and Avondale schools, so that we have enough to be able to have competition. And then when it comes to boys, we have our swim season right now. Troy High has some really special swimmers, and can make. They're beating their own records right now, Rich. It's pretty cool. You talk about personal best. They've beaten everybody else, and now they only can go back and beat their own records. And Athens does a great job, too. Both of our coaches are phenomenal. And our boys hockey team, this is the best season they've ever had since we put boys hockey into the Troy School District. They're leading their conference right now. It's fun to watch. Our student sections showing up for the game have been awesome. And it's just really fun to see a program, and Josh Brown, our coach, is really elevating what's taking place. So that's really what's going on. A lot of great opportunities for our kids to be able to compete, and our coaches are doing a great job as well.
Yeah, and you talk about One Troy. The hockey program is a combined program, so we have students from all four of the high schools are able to participate on that team. It's really quite something. You mentioned downhill skiing earlier. That's a sport that many people probably wouldn't know that students in the Troy School District have the opportunity to participate in. What about there are other new sports that have come along? That's one unique thing about the MHSAA in which we participate. a tournament level, but they're constantly evolving in terms of sports and so forth. So talk a little bit about the new sports that have been added and how we go about determining whether we're going to participate in those.
Sure. So we have two new sports that we've added this spring or this year. One of them is boys volleyball. So last year, our inaugural season with boys volleyball, we had it as a club team. It has become an MHSAA sanctioned sport. To be specific about that, what the MHSAA does is they really look at how many teams are interested and communities have these sports. And you need to have about 62 to 64 teams to be able to have a sanctioned sport in the state. We have over that in many sports, but we finally got to that part with boys volleyball. It's been a club for a while. They have the numbers. They started it last spring. It is an official sport this year. So as we have it, it's still club for us right now, but it will likely become that part of being a MHSAA sanctioned sport for us within a year or so. But both teams last year had enough for a varsity team and at Athens and at Troy. They both were above 500. And when you watch the two teams compete, if they played each other 10 times, they probably won 5 and lost 5. It was very competitive, but they were competitive with everybody that was out there. We have great coaches, and it was a great opportunity. And I think maybe my favorite sport that I've seen this year was girls flag football.
Yeah, I would agree.
We're bringing this in. It's a club sport. It's something that the NFL is really pushing. You see the commercials on TV, but just to show the interest of what came out for girls flag football, we had 48 girls from Athens and 40 from Troy High come out for the first team ever. Some sports are struggling with numbers. We've never even had it before, and there's a huge number to be able to take place of doing this. We had 6 teams from the OAA participate in the fall league. First time ever. We piloted it in the fall. We've already got 4 more teams in the OAA they're going to join for next year, and it'll probably be even more than that. And nice problem to have. We got to get more uniforms because we want girls that want to come out to have opportunities. So, but to watch them, they both finished 2-2 this last year, and they were extremely competitive. And I think the thing that really stood out to me is when I interviewed the girls or talked to the girls and the coaches, they just said it was fun. And that's what you want sports to be. Yes, it's competitive. And yes, you want to have all these extra things of winning and having accolades. But they said it was just fun. And that's what sport is all about, connecting with teammates, having fun.
Yeah, no, I would concur with that, and it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear the girls say that. But just as you have rattled off a number of additional sports that we have that are new to the Troy School District and new to the MHSAA, it's really quite something. There's really something for everyone when we think about athletics in the Troy School District, and beyond athletics, of course, fine arts and clubs and all of the other opportunities for students to get involved with it's really important. So as we think about all of these particular sports and clubs and so forth, I'm thinking that organizing all of that must be pretty challenging. And so to that end, you've launched a new website.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about your website and how that's organized in order to help support our community and understanding what's going on in our athletes and coaches and so forth.
So when I took this job a year and a half ago, Tim Fulcher, the former athletic director, shared with me, he said, our websites need to have an overhaul. They're a little antiquated. So as we got into this, and we did a lot of research last year to not just jump on the first website that we thought, oh, this will be great. It needs to be something that integrates with our current systems. Our old system was not ADA compliant, so our current sites are. But we chose to go with the company EventLink. And there's multiple reasons for that. It works with our current ML schedules situation with scheduling. So it has a scheduling piece. It has all kinds of parts on there. But I want to give a shout out real quick to 2 secretaries and 2 athletic coordinators that put their heart and soul into creating these websites. So Beth Culp and Lisa Buscemi, our athletic secretaries at Troy High and Troy Athens, and then Karen Baird and Todd Hugh, our athletic coordinators. They spent a lot of time over the summer getting these up and ready. And some of the information, and I've got it written down here because I can't remember all of it, is, when you take a look at it, has banners on there and it has an area for a news feed. They are constantly updating it with the current events that are taking place in Troy. It has updated schedules. It has today's events. It has scores from past games, contact information from our athletic department, including all of our varsity coaches so parents or student athletes can get in touch with them. They have links to purchase fan gear. Final Forms is something that we use for organization. Parents can click on it, and it's right there integrated into the website. You can actually go there with GoFan and purchase your tickets for the game tonight, 2 weeks from now, and go on your phone and have that there to make the line go smoother. We also have links to other important things like the MHSAA website. And again, at the end of the day, we want this to be accessible to everybody, and it is ADA compliant. But a lot of efforts have gone into this. When you look at the site, it's vibrant, it's updated, and it's as good as anybody else has out there right now.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know that been something that has been a challenge, bringing to the forefront, based upon some of the issues that we had with the old site and having to go to multiple places in order to get information. So I'm shifting gears just a little bit here, Matt. One of the things that I really appreciate that you've done is beyond just making our athletics and the opportunities around athletics for our student athletes world class. You have challenged our coaches and our athletes to think beyond just what happens on the court or on the field. So talk a little bit about the work that's been done in terms of health and well-being for athletes and coaches and safety and making sure that our coaches have the right training necessary to provide in the event there's an emergency. They're there ready to act.
So thanks for bringing that up. And that's the thing about athletics. It's not just about the uniforms or the coaches or the players. The number one priority we have is to give a safe experience. Yes, we want it to be competitive, but we have to have a safe opportunity. And that starts with CPR, AED, and first aid training. Mm-hmm. Every coach at middle school and at high school is CPR trained, first aid or AED trained. So what does that look like? So last year we started a new system where each of our coaches would take an online certification, and then they would follow that up with an in-person skills test. They would then be certified for 2 years. But then you'd say, okay, now we're certified. But, the old Allen Iverson quote of practice, let's talk about practice. In order to be good at these things, we have to practice them. And it's not just the coaches. We also have to take a look at how do we practice this in case we have a situation. At our seasonal coaches meetings, we have gone through and talked about and showed simulations of success stories, but also tragic situations and how we can avoid them. Our coaches are now required at middle school and high school to run 2 drills per season. And it's as simple as, where is the AED? Who's going to get it? If we're in a situation where a player goes down, whether it's an opponent or on our own team or in practice, how are we getting each of these things? Our athletic trainers, and I can't say enough about our athletic trainers. We are so fortunate to have athletic trainers that they don't want to just help, they want to help do. And so let me shout out to Clarissa Bariak, our trainer from Athens. She does all of the in-person skills tests for CPR and does a great job and goes above and beyond in her role. And then Mike Syme, who also had to help respond to an emergency situation last year and gave an individual their best chance. But they help in each of the drills. They're there with our student athletes and the coaches to make sure that we know if we have a situation, what does it look like? We run the drill to make sure we have the equipment necessary, the training to protect the dignity of somebody that's in that situation. And one of the phrases I give to the coaches is, you need to train your players up like if you were the one that had to be treated or responded to. Would everyone else know how to save you if you couldn't run it? So we have that down for everybody. They're up and running. And, let me also say Mike Syme has been our athletic trainer for a long time, 18 years. Yeah. His last day with us is January 16. I also want to welcome Damian Quarles, our new athletic trainer. That was one thing over the break. The job never stops. We're doing interviews over the break. We hired Damian, and he starts with us on the 15th. So Damian will come in and be a part of this as well.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Mac, because it so much of the success of not only our organization, our system, but specifically athletics goes beyond what happens. Yes. As I said before, what happens on the field or on the court. It's being prepared to act when necessary. And to your point, practice is necessary, and having individuals understand how to respond could save a life.
Yes.
And there's nothing more important than that.
Well, if I can even share one more thing, and I forgot to add this in, is we just went through a whole training of CPR at a whole nother level. On November 22nd at Troy High, we hosted through Corewell Health and Jen Shea a heart check program. 220 of our high school students at Troy High and Troy Athens were able to participate in a deeper level physical experience. So, you go get your high school physical every year to prove that you're healthy to participate. But this went through and they each got an EKG. They're in there. They're going through all this training. And they were also trained by Corewell Health on how to respond to a CPR event. And it was great. It was held in honor of our student last year, Bilal Ahmad. Our coaches were there present to help with it. We had doctors from Corewell Health, from Royal Oak, from Troy, from the area that were in there. And I'm really happy and proud of the leadership at Troy High in the student body. They have selected the Heart Check program from Corewell Health as the organization that they're going to benefit for their Activist Week.
Oh, that's great.
And, it's something that hits home for us. We had an event here last year and our team responded. Those parents came and I had a chance to give them a tour of that event, and that event was held in their honor. And through tragedy, we're always looking at how we can get better, and those parents are examples of they want their son to be recognized, but they also want to prevent everything they can for anybody else in the future as well.
Yeah, I know Bilal's parents are very appreciative for all the work that,
Sure.
that you and others have done on behalf of their son. So you mentioned Corewell as a partner
Yes.
with our athletics programs. What other business partners, are you working with currently, and how might that look?
So, we do seasonal coaches meetings, but we also do seasonal parent meetings. So in August, we had fall sports. November, we kicked off for winter sports, and we'll have one for spring here as well. But to me, it's about, you've started the challenge of community partnerships, our district with local organizations. So we wanted to increase the learning, and this is done collaboratively also with Todd, Hugh, and Karen Baird. So the three of us meet once a week, but one of our initiatives is, what do we do to improve learning with professionals in the organization and make that a community partnership? So in the fall, we brought in Jeremy McCall, who is with Talk Therapy, but he focused on mental health and well-being and sports anxiety. He presented to our coaches, he presented to our parents, and just what are the signs where maybe your student athlete's doing well in practice or off-season, but maybe is struggling on game day and has some anxiety or a pucker effect of, you get out there and things just don't go the way you want, but that's sports. You do the best you can until you know how to do better. I know somebody that uses that phrase all the time. Right. So we partnered with Jeremy on that to have a professional therapist that we made as a connection. He's not the only one, but our job is to connect resources to families if they need that. And then we also took a look here in the winter of bringing in through team rehab, Sean Connolly. There's 3 team rehab facilities here in Troy, and Sean is the owner and manager of one of them. And we brought him in to talk about nutrition and some really good information with the coaches and with the parents from the standpoint of what you're putting in your body, how to get optimal performance, and to also really take a look at what are the things that are out there that look so intriguing and inviting from social media and commercials and television. And the reality is some of those things can do a lot of harm to your body. And he shared some information in there about energy drinks, vaping, all these things that like what you can do to perform at an optimal level. And even for parents of what do you do for that quick snack? And you can find that information on the district website because that's recorded for everyone to see. But these local partnerships have been so important along with Corewell, and we have more coming this spring. And we will continue to put these resources out there for our families so that we can give our student athletes the best experience possible.
Yeah, and I know that the messaging around, let's say, energy drinks, for instance, has hit the mark because I've been shamed on multiple occasions to stop drinking one of my favorite energy drinks. So I'm throttling back a little bit with respect to that. But yeah, really important that we're not just thinking about what happens again on the court, but it's about how we're able to support the mental well-being, the physical well-being, social emotional well-being of our athletes, because we know that translates into them being better students. And at the end of the day, our core mission is ensuring learning for all members of our school community. Athletics is one of those ways in which we help to support what happens in our classrooms. So to kind of come back full circle, as you think about the lessons that occur outside of athletics that translate, let's say, into our classrooms and so forth, what are some of those skills that you are seeing from an athletic standpoint, resiliency, teamwork, and so forth, that are making their way into our classrooms across the Troy School District?
Well, I take a look at, the classroom is an extension out to our playing surfaces. And I think it really sums up to someday in life, you're going to be an employee. You're going to be a parent, possibly, or you're going to be, a strong adult. And it's really about being a teammate, And for me, it's everything in sports gives us an opportunity, whether it's to show work ethic, character, integrity when things get tough, to have some resilience or grit. And when I was hiring teachers, or I'm hiring coaches now in our district, I'm not looking for one to always stand out about everybody else. I'm not looking to hire MVPs. I'm looking to hire MVTs, most valuable teammates. Because in life, whether it's within your family, whether it's as an employee at work, whether it's your faith, whether anything you do, you need to be a good teammate. And, as we go through that, you're out there, you're doing your personal best, have your work ethic, but how do you make others around you better? And you look at the Troy School District, you do an amazing job of making everybody else better. I would like to think I have a positive impact on others and make them better. And I know there are so many people in this district that have made me better than what I am. And that's the thing about Troy. It's a collection of bests because it's most valuable teammates. Taking a look at when we know how to do better, we'll do better, but it's through trying things. It's through practice. It's through efforts. And whether it's your best sport or your worst sport, I hope that student athletes have the opportunity in this district to be the best teammates they can for life.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. I certainly couldn't have said that any better myself, but the information that you've shared today, the number of individuals who are participating in athletics across our school district, the number of sports that they have opportunities or clubs they have opportunities to be a part of, is reflective of what we value as an organization,
Yes.
which is providing opportunities outside of the classroom for young people to get involved. Again, whether it's athletics, whether it's fine arts, whatever it is, find your place and go all in. Be a teammate, be someone who can support those around you, so that that's what ultimately makes One Troy a great place to learn for our students, a great place to work for our employees, and a great place to live for our community, our families, and this community. And it's people like you, Matt, that make it easier for people like me to do the job that I do. So I want to thank you very much for not only spending time today to share some background about the athletics program here in the Troy School District, but also talk about how important that is as we seek to support students across our school district. So I want to thank you for joining me today here, Matt, and I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Best Is Yet to Come podcast.